Well, hello model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ralph, and this week I wanted to show one of my restoration candidates here. One of my in the waiting pile of restorations. This is a MPC 71 Camaro, and as you can see, I gathered parts for it over the years, and I bought it stripped like this. It was already stripped of its paint, and this is how it came. It was molded in yellow, and then the spoiler was pried off of it. And cleaned up, but the emblems are here. So there's the SS 396 emblems, and everything's cleaned up. It is a rally sport, which the 71 through 73s were, but the SSs were 71 and 72. The 70 Camaro SS has a standard front bumper, not the RS front end that this one has. But fairly rare, but not really a rare subject because AMT makes these now. But this is an original MPC annual, which you can see the box right here. So this one's been kind of long-standing. Here's the chassis. You can see it was painted. It's been stripped, and been gathering parts for it. Here's the interior. It's been cleaned up and primed. Don't really know what color I'm going to go with on this. I'm thinking beige. Glass. Let's see. No, glass is not glued in. But there's the glass. And it actually is dated 1971 Camaro right there, if you see it right there. But there's the body on that. And then I had gotten this wing because I wanted the tall wing because that's more correct for 71. This is Model Haas. They had offered this. This is how long I've been sitting on it. It's actually marked 73 because I believe it was in the original 73 kit. And then I had gotten another hood right here from Model Haas. And then these ones, they don't come with side mirrors, so I get these. These are from Scale Equipment Limited. So I bought a bunch of these, and I believe they still offer these. But they have the bullet mirrors and then the inside rear view mirrors. And I don't know if I bought like 10 sets of these because I swear I've used a ton of them. So any of my finished Firebirds and finished Camaros, which I have a few of them, they all have these mirrors. And I had been gathering parts because this thing was built up. Here's the original hood, which is actually in good shape. The only reason I bought a hood is this corner was knocked off. The only reason I bought the Model Haas hood. And I can actually repair the corners if I wanted to. I've done it with putty, with the epoxy putty, but I can do that. But this one, the Model Haas hood has the underside details, except for they actually stamped 70 to 73 Camaro on it, which, but Model Haas does that. But there's the hood, and then I got a set of wheels. I really don't even know where these came from anymore, but these are the wheels that I'm going to put on it. And then a big bag of all the other stuff, as this thing has been, I don't know why I haven't finished this one. So I had the bumper re-chromed, and it says USA 1. For some reason the 70 and 71 say USA 1. 72 is date coded. I think they did that on purpose because they knew they weren't going to do it. I've got a couple engines here, one that I've cleaned and painted. Here's one of the other ones. I'd gathered a few motors for these. Got the seats primered, the dash primered. And I couldn't decide. I was thinking I was going to go with either a red interior or a beige interior or a black interior, because I did buy this paint right here from Scale Finishes. This is a cranberry red, and I marked it here 71 Camaro. But this has been sitting a while. But it's, for some reason, it's ready. I've got everything to do it. Like I said, here's the dash and steering wheel. Here's the original spoiler with the chunk knocked out of it. But it popped off fairly well. It's still usable. There's just two little chunks. So I can glue this back on the body and use it as is, even though it's really not a whole lot of 71s came with that spoiler. There's the front re-chromed. I keep getting asked about who does my chrome, but this is from Chrome Tech, and that's one of the ones where I've had a ton of the stuff re-chromed and they've been sitting. Got miscellaneous headers and manifold headers type ones. Oh, and here's one of the things kind of interesting. This thing was jacked up in the back, and whoever the original builder was melted the leaf springs and bent them up. And I find a lot of these, the exhaust is cut off and removed, but the original builder, They actually left the sway bar. I've seen a couple of them where that's cut off. But this has become kind of a hard part to find when I'm looking for it. And then I've got the suspension, rear valance panel, the taillights. Got multiple taillights. Because I've just been keep collecting parts. Here's the grill insert. And these kind of get year specifics. This one doesn't have an SS emblem or anything on it. It's just the grading. Some do, some don't. I guess it depends on the year. Got a fan, drive shaft, just a ton of parts here. And here's the core support. So I've got everything to build it. Here's one of the bumperettes in chrome. And then chrome valve covers, which these ones, it's the original chrome. They're not in the greatest shape. But some of these, depending on the motor, the valve covers were painted body color, or orange, I mean. And others were painted or chromed, just depending on which version. The water pump is chrome from MPC, but I stripped that one on this one because the water pumps aren't chrome. I stripped the chrome off of that. I can't remember if the intake was chromed or not, or if I stripped that. It's got a funny automatic horseshoe shifter, which at least this one actually does have an automatic tranny, which is kind of unusual. For some reason, a lot of MPCs have the manuals, but it's a full automatic interior tub. So one pedal, the horseshoe shifter, the correct 71, 72 console. The 70 had a different console and it went all the way there. It wasn't anything like the stock ones. So it's kind of funny what was in there and what wasn't. So I've got everything to do it, and this is one of my collections from somebody who helped me out and sold me some parts years ago. So there's more of the suspension parts, not glued together, that I can use for the chassis. And here's one with the molded in exhaust. And so this one has not been modified. So it's got the exhaust pipes here, and then the muffler and everything still here in the sway bar. Now some of the Trans Ams that have been re-released from MPC, you can get most of this. It'll have these exhaust pipes, it'll have the leafs, and some of them even have the transverse mufflers, but these pipes are missing. At one point in time in the tooling, they deleted these pipes. So they've vanished, but some have them, some don't. It really depends on the kit. A lot of the Trans Ams, the exhaust tips are on the chrome tree and you just glue them on and they have the double that come down. So I think that's why they disappeared. But you know, I sourced this one and ended up getting it. So I've got everything to build this, and for some reason it's just sitting here, hasn't gotten any farther. But that's how these projects go sometimes. Got tons of them that have been sitting around and collecting dust. Firewalls primed. Even a steering wheel. You know, looking through the bags of stuff here, the only thing I noticed I don't have are tires. So, and I've got huge boxes of that stuff, so finding tires isn't too much of a problem. Here's a chromed air cleaner. And then I even painted the oil pan. So a lot of times I'll paint the oil pan separately because it's harder to get in here and black this out, because that piece should be black and then the tranny. But this one, I need to get this one done. Even got some of the traction bars, some of the custom parts. But I need to get this one done. For some reason, this 71 Camaro has been sitting and I haven't finished it, even though I did a 70 and a 72 MPCs. So I got both of those done. What's kind of funny about it is, and this is how some of these projects go, if you do enough of these and you start collecting parts, sooner or later a better one comes along. And you know, it's kind of funny, but it happens. You keep your eye open and they'll come around. So that being the case, just kind of putting this one back together. There we go. That's what this is. I know you're looking at it and it's just a box. Well, it's really not just a box. It's another one, which I bought it. It was actually glued together and not painted, as you can see. This one was not painted at all. The wheels are kind of glued, and they did some tire melts. You can see them there, but there's the original wire mesh style hubcaps, which I never really cared for. And I threw some other parts in here from some others, because here's some wheel backs I can use. And it's funny, and I think I got a huge chunk in here. Yep, I do. There's one, there's one. There's some more. But anyway, I got another set of the mirrors in here. All the chrome's been redone, and it's wrapped in tissue and in here so I don't scratch it. The chrome on the other parts were stripped. For some reason this one, the chrome was actually molded in a different color than the yellow. And then another hood. This one's got a little damage too. The molding is missing on the corners. I could fix that. But what's funny is this whole thing was completely glued together. You can kind of see a little bit of glue on the back side of there. But the guy who built it just used epoxy. And the good part about epoxy, I don't know if you can see this, here's a chunk of it. The epoxy doesn't attack the plastic. So you start prying and this stuff just starts popping off. So I had chunks of glue where stuff was just thick and not, but when I took it off, even the suspension parts, there's no glue marks anywhere on this chassis. Just a little bit of rust in there from the axle. It made it obvious, but this one's completely stripped of glue. There's a little tire mark on the windshield that I would need to polish off. But this one, no glue anywhere on it, and it popped completely apart. I mean, it looks like it's never been built, even though it actually was. And I could sell it pretty much as an unbuilt, just everything taken off the trees. But even its rear axle was complete, not cut up or anything, and it's, you know, molded in the correct color. But once I build them and paint them, that's why I don't really worry about the color. Like this one, it's molded in white. Okay, so it probably came from a 72 or maybe a Trans Am, not an actual 71 Camaro. But once I build it and paint it, you can't tell what color it was molded in. But it's just kind of funny that, and I think that's one of the reasons this stalled, is I got this, took it all apart. It's perfect. Very few things I had to source while I was trying to find parts for this one. I needed to find engine parts, intake was missing, the hood was damaged, but at the time I can get this stuff from Model Haus, so I bought the Model Haus parts, had the chrome redone, collected the wheels that I wanted for it, which is the Z28 style wheels. But I really wanted these for it, so I got these for it, and got the paint, got everything, but I never built it. So it's in my pile of things to build, so it's a restoration candidate. And you know, I've got the second one here, and I'll probably just build just one of them. I'll build this one because, you know, this one, it looks worse, but it's not. There's really nothing wrong with it. As soon as I put some primer on it, the green will disappear because that's all pretty much pigmentation from the paint. And it was scuffed, but once it's primed, it'll all disappear and be all ready. And I just got to clean the glue marks and stuff off the back here, which are very subtle. They'll sand off, but there's no Camaro emblem. The Camaro emblem was sanded off. Matter of fact, I'm trying to remember if there was a Camaro emblem. I believe there was. Yeah, there's a Camaro emblem. So the spoiler covers that up. So this one at least has the Camaro emblem. This one doesn't, but once the spoiler's on there, you can't see it. It covers it up. Unlike the 67, 68, and 69, the Camaro emblem was moved forward in front of the spoiler, but it was still on the trunk. But on these, they just vanished. But this one is going to get built. And I think I'm going to get this one built real soon while I'm doing some primer and body work. Because this one really doesn't need much of anything. I just need to do it. So I just figured I would show that to you and share another one of my restoration candidates. As I've got lots of them, but it's fun to dream and hear your thoughts on what color you would build it, what you would do with it, and some of that stuff. And I know it's a fairly rare kit, but when it comes to this subject, the AMT Camaros are out there now, and they even have one of the older tools, which is not quite as good, but some of these annuals were still fairly nice for what they were back then. It's weird to think that it's pretty much a 50-year-old model now. But thank you for subscribing and tuning in and watching, and appreciate it and all your comments. So you guys, you have a wonderful Saturday, and I will see you next Saturday.